Hey everyone, André here, and I just saw a Sonic the Hedgehog movie too, along with Sam from NintendoFanGirl. Sam, how are you doing?
Good. Excited to talk about Sonic?
Heck yeah, I am too, which is a weird thing to say for me, because I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, but I loved the first movie, so I was really hyped to see the second one. And was that the same for you, or have you always been a Sonic fan? Exact same.
I didn't get into Sonic until, my username's NintendoFanGirl, so it makes sense. I didn't get into Sonic until, there was no competition in terms of Sega consoles.
Until Sega was dead and buried effectively as a competitor.
So my first Sonic games were Sonic Adventure DX and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on GameCube.
Oh wow, well some would say those are probably some of the best to start with for the 3D games at least, so... Awesome, and then how did you feel about the first Sonic movie?
I loved the first Sonic movie. I was so excited for the second one. Midnight showing, as soon as those tickets were ready, I was there.
It's still baffling that the first movie turned out not just as good as it did, good period. And the fact that it turned out being good at all, especially as good as it was impressive. And so yeah, I was excited for Sonic 2. So let's start off with you. How did it live up to your expectations? How much fun did you have watching this movie?
I had so much fun. It went beyond my expectations, to be honest.
Wow.
I had pretty high expectations, but at the same time, I was trying to not tie anything specific to my mind, because that's where the disappointment usually comes in. And right. I left that theater really, really excited and happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell everyone in my theater was losing it at points. Yeah. There were two specific points that they completely lost it at. And I can say one was with the appearance of Knuckles. My theater just blew up based on that. The second we may touch on a little bit later, but that's probably a good point to mention the fact that this will mostly be a spoiler-free discussion. We may mention some specific plot points, but we're going to try and avoid anything major. However, there will come a point where we'll then dive into more specific spoilers, and we'll give you a warning for that, everyone. So don't worry, most of this should be safe, but we'll give you a warning for when it does get spoiler-heavy. We may touch on the final credit scene or the post-credit scene or not. I don't know if we will, but if we do, we'll give you a warning about it. So, with that out of the way, yeah, I have to agree with you, Sam. I think I overall had a great time with this movie. I think the key thing for me here is this felt like an actual Sonic movie. The first movie felt like I loved it. It was great, but it didn't feel like a true Sonic experience. It felt kind of like something that was new and its own weird thing, which I liked. But this one feels like, no, this is straight up a Sonic game. You have the entire Sonic cast there, they're all interacting with each other. The humans are the actual, real life humans that aren't Robotnik, are way downplayed for the most part, outside of a couple of sequences. And for the most part, it almost feels like they're not even on Earth at points. They generally are, but they're exploring these new areas. I feel like zones ripped right out of the games. And it was just so fun seeing, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and Robotnik, or Eggman, all interact with each other. Did you get that same sense, too, at all?
100%, yeah. And I think if I were to complain about anything from the first Sonic movie, it was I could do, with less of Tom. I could do, less humans, to be honest. But, having Tails in there, the Tails and Sonic interactions were just chef's kiss.
Those were great. Yeah. Again, I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, but when they teased Tails at the end of the Sonic 1 movie, I lost it too. I'm like, who am I right now in this moment? Losing it at Tails appearing. But I'm like, heck yeah, there Tails is. And Tails is great in this. Tails is fantastic, and I forget the voice actress's name, but
Colleen, it's very Irish. O'Shaughnessy, I think that's it.
Okay, awesome.
Colleen
Thank you.
O'Shaughnessy.
See, you're the real professional here. You've got everything ready to go. Having her actually voice Tails again is perfect. She fits right in with the rest of the cast. Doesn't stand out at all. And I think actually having her be able to do this role in movie form actually helps bring Tails even more to life than we've seen. She's able to add a little bit more inflection, I think, than we often see in the games. It feels like we're actually getting even more personality of Tails than the games are able to afford, generally.
I feel like Tails, he's always got this adoration of Sonic. He just loves Sonic, and Sonic, he's the cool guy. He has to take a little bit to warm up, but he also loves Tails, and I think they captured that. I think they did really well.
Yeah, they did really well. They really leaned into that, and I thought the whole introduction of Tails was really well done. I wasn't sure how they were going to treat Tails initially. was he always Sonic friend? That they just didn't mention in the first movie, but I thought they handled everything pretty well. I did think it was a little contrived at points, with how Tails found out about Sonic's existence and all that. But
they had to get it in there somehow.
Exactly. It mostly worked just fine. I have to ask you about Knuckles now. What did you think of Knuckles in this movie? Yeah,
well,
from the appearance to everything.
I mean, I think he looks great. They did a really good job of meshing some of his different designs in the past. He works really well in this real life 3D universe. I love Idris Elba, so yeah. I thought he brought this really nice sophistication to Knuckles' strength. So I loved him.
I really did too. I thought he was really well done. Did a slightly different spin on Knuckles than what we've seen from some of the Sonic cartoons, I think, which I liked, and it still felt true to the games. And I also appreciated that they didn't go full on dumb Knuckles he has sometimes been portrayed. They found a good middle ground there.
It kind of snuck in there sometimes, but it snuck in there sometimes, but not. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't quite
exactly.
Sonic Boom Knuckles, so... Yeah,
it feels more like he's just really focused on this one thing, and that lets him get, easily kind of tricked or fooled, I guess. But no, I thought the chemistry of all three were great. And just, how they come to know each other and how they do... I did like that they captured basically the arc, if you will, of the games where he starts off as a villain and, mild spoilers, of course, he kind of teams up with them by the end.
Yep.
But yeah, that was all really fun. So were there any standout moments for you from any of the characters?
Let's see. I love when they captured the iconic pose of Tails flying with Sonic in front of, I think, a full moon at some point too, just to make it all the better. And I love Tails in his little plane, which... That's very, very classic Sonic. Even I know that as not a big Sonic fan. Classic Sonic, and I know that was in all the trailers too. And it just... They made a way to get that really classic scene and those iconic moments into the movie, which was great.
Yeah, there was a lot of those. I like it. I noticed a ton of just references and Easter eggs this time. One of my favorites was, I loved, actually this ties into one of my favorite things about the movie, actually. I loved the Mean Bean Cafe. I just thought, oh, that's a great little reference, and it worked so well with the character that, reappears there being Agent Stone. And, I loved it. What I really liked, I was kind of surprised by how much of the cast, returned. Literally, every noteworthy character from the first movie came back. And that was kind of fun, as, even if it wasn't always in a major role, but I enjoyed that they were all back in some way.
Yeah.
Agent Stone, I really like that his interactions with Dr. Eggman, and that only continued even more so in this case. So,
yeah, he's one of the funnier characters, I think. Him and Wade, who's the backup sheriff in Green Hills. And then there's also, I kind of wish I had watched the first one more recently. I think the last time I watched it was probably 6 to 8 months ago. But a lot of the side characters make a return. So it's worth rewatching before seeing the second one, if you haven't recently.
Absolutely. What did you think of Dr. Eggman this time?
Oh, I feel like Jim Carrey really grew into and embraced the Eggman role. I love it. The only thing I'm worried about is how is he willing to continue coming back, because I can't imagine anybody else as Eggman at this point.
I can't. No, he is Eggman to me. Yeah, so he has to come back. I don't care how much money you have to throw at him. They need to make it happen. Because he's effectively a cartoon character himself. There are 4 cartoon characters in this movie. And Dr. Eggman is just fantastic. I love. He really kind of steals almost every scene he's in, which is impressive considering he's starring again with a cast of animated characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he continued from the first movie, or continued the role in the first movie just perfectly. And I liked that they again, a mild spoiler here, not really from the very beginning of the movie, but I appreciated that we actually got to see the process of how he got off the mushroom planet. And I loved everything around that sequence when Knuckles first appears through the ring, which I think I mentioned it. That's like when my theater just completely freaking lost it. Did your theater lose it too at that point? Or?
That was like one of the mild lost it points.
Okay.
There were others where they were jumping out of their chairs.
Are there any other non-spoiler moments that you remember that they were losing it at? Or
I feel like when Tails showed up and met Sonic for the first time, that was got a cheer out of people in my theater. I think the others are probably all spoilers.
Okay, yeah.
At this point,
yeah. Tails and Knuckles were definitely big ones. Were there any parts of the movie that we may have to move into like more spoiler territory for this, I think. Maybe we will. So, all right.
Okay.
Do you have any other non-spoiler thoughts real quick before we move on to spoiler?
I would say that the 3D animation was pretty top-notch. Specifically, I'm thinking of Eggman's robots, which are in all the trailers. Eggman's robots, like, you could tell they felt like they were straight out of a Sonic game. And they felt real, like real. So, props to them there.
They did a great job with that. Again, I really actually appreciate it. Kind of started with the first movie, but how they tied in Eggman's, like, how they tied the robot design into Eggman's name, and that's how they explained it this time, rather than, I guess, being actually egg-shaped, as in the games. So, I like that. I'm like, okay, the name kind of makes sense. I can roll with it. I always prefer Dr. Robotnik, but I'm like, alright, they made it work here well enough. Okay, let's move into actual spoiler territory here. They'll probably build up as we go through this, so if you haven't seen the movie, you probably want to now, just in case things get really spoilery here.
Did you get, in your theater, did they play, like, the hey, like, before you see this movie, like, there's gonna be some spoilers, like, you should think of before you share it on the internet or with your... You didn't get that?
No, we didn't get anything. We didn't get any trailers or anything at all before the movie. I saw the 4DX, I think that's what they call it, the one that shakes you around, like, tilts and stuff, like, throws water in your face.
I'm so jealous, I want to see that.
It actually worked out really well in this case. I don't know if I want to use it again necessarily. It felt right for Sonic. But no, so I got nothing. No warnings or anything.
So right before our showing, there was like a special animation. I think maybe Ben Schwartz voiced it, like with Sonic and Tails on the screen saying, like, I think it was more geared towards children, like talking at recess or whatever, but it was basically saying, like, hey, there's like some really exciting things that are going to happen in this movie. Just think before you share them with people who haven't seen it yet. And I was like, that's really nice.
That is nice. Though if they were really concerned about it, they shouldn't have opened the movie a week early in Europe before
simultaneous worldwide release.
Yes, exactly. So I want to start off with nothing, probably not too spoilery here, but I was curious, were there any parts of the movie that you felt were weaker than others? Any parts that slowed down a little bit before you compare it to the rest?
There's this strange part, and it's more strange, like, thinking back on it now even than when I was watching it, but there's a strange part where there's like a dance battle in like Siberia or something.
Yeah.
That part was strange, and then maybe also the earlier part of this wedding sequence, pretty much anything where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are not on screen were slower to me.
Those are literally the two notes I had here. The two scenes I thought just kind of brought the movie to a grinding halt. Yeah, it was a wedding scene, which by and large felt really out of place until, the final part of it, which I kind of enjoyed, but most of that was really weird. And then also the Siberia scene was really unnecessary and felt kind of like a retread of the bar scene from the first movie to some degree.
It felt like the SpongeBob movie. I don't remember all the details of the SpongeBob movie, but the like same exact sequence of events happened where they were in their like cute little getup and they look like cute squishy kids, and then they go into like this hardened criminal bar. It felt out of place compared to all of the very Sonic-y things. It was more like a little cute kids movie jab to make the children laugh.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, and the movie had a good pace to it too. Like, they're going from location to location constantly. There's always forward momentum, and both of those scenes kind of just really stop that. Like, they just they're stuck in place for a while, and it kind of like just does slow down the pace of the movie. It doesn't really feel like it fits in. But there were still moments in them that I enjoyed. I mean, Tails probably had one of the cutest scenes there, where he's sleeping by the fire, and then his tails curl over Sonic as he's also sleeping.
That was really cute.
That was adorable. So, and then of course the wedding scene also had it's something that that registered to my stupid brain. Like was the Sonic ringtone that Tom had. I lost it. Oh my gosh,
that was
amazing.
really cute. I want that for myself. I'm not even that big of a Sonic fan, but
Yep,
that would make me feel good if I heard my phone ringing.
Right. How did you feel about the? We're actually, before we get into more spoilers, we're gonna. I mean, some spoilers still, but I also enjoyed the Indiana Jones like sequence when they're going for the Master Emerald.
Yeah.
And they're running through the temple. They're like dodging like arrows and like the giant rolling ball. I'm like, that's straight up Indiana Jones. Then they actually touched on that. I'm like, okay, I appreciate it. You know what you are.
I think Eggman said something like, I don't want to die this way. It's too derivative.
Yeah, that was exactly it, and that was perfect.
It was really funny.
So that was great. Yeah, so lots of fun references here. Another fun reference I enjoyed was, to get into major spoilers, is when, although it's in the trailer, is when they're piloting the, I forget the name of it, the giant robot thing.
I think it's just called Giant Eggman Robot.
Giant Eggman.
I tried to look into it. But...
And Dr. Stone's got or Agent Stone's got the instruction manual, like a Sega Genesis instruction manual for how to do things.
Cute. Yeah.
So I wish they hadn't shown that scene in the trailer, though, or rather the giant robot itself. Like, I think that would have been legit a huge surprise. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, like, knowing it was coming, it's like, okay, well, we know where this is all leading now. He's gonna get the Master Emerald, gonna end up in the giant robot, and then you're gonna have like this giant boss battle, which is partially why, again, this game feels like a Sonic game, or this movie feels like a Sonic game. I called it a game right there for a moment because it has like the same build up too. Like you've got the final boss right here, and then of course Sonic goes freaking Super Saiyan at the end after getting all the emeralds.
That was a big moment from our theater. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot until now. Like my theater completely lost it during that moment. Like it was like they just erupted like a Marvel movie when that happened.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that was just such a hype moment, and people who know Sonic, like, kind of know, like, oh, Sonic, like, is in possession of all the Chaos Emeralds at this exact moment in time. Like, what could happen? I don't know. But
yeah,
it happened. It was super hype.
That was really fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed that whole sequence. Unfortunately, I got spoiled on it by a freaking McDonald's toy thing. Apparently, there were some toys. One of them is Supersonic, and I'm like, no, that means it's gonna happen now in the movie. So,
luckily I managed to go in there spoiler free, so that was nice.
Yeah, I'm very jealous. Another fun thing I liked was, I mean, it's actually this kind of ties into a larger point I want to make. And one thing I did appreciate is how they carried over it really did feel like a sequel to the first movie. Like, while I mentioned it does feel like a real proper Sonic movie, they also did a really good job tying it into the first one, including plot points, like, mentioning Sonic's mom and her relation to how the story unfolds involving the Emerald, and then how it ties into the whole Echidna clan and and how they were attacking Sonic and his mom at the beginning of the first movie.
Yep.
And then also the themes of like friendship as well. How Sonic felt like a fish out of water in the first movie, and they really kind of like bring that full circle here. Giving Sonic like actual friends this time that aren't stand-in father figures with Tom.
Right.
So I thought that was all really well done.
Yeah.
Did you feel the same? Or
yeah, I think there's a point in the movie where they tie in Tom towards the end, Tom and his wife, that feels a little strange just because, like, Sonic does call him Dad, FYI, which is a little... I remember my exact face, like, when that happened was like, okay. I don't really have a problem with it, but it threw me off that they actually, like, intended to make Tom an actual father-like character for Sonic. Right. And kind of for all three of them now, because I think where we've ended, they're all kind of living together, and it's kind of like the three siblings of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and then Dad, Tom, Mom, Maddie, I think her name is. A little strange, but...
I didn't think about that. I mean, no, you're totally right. They totally show that, and I didn't even think about the fact, like, yeah, Tom is like a father 3 times over now. Like, how is this...
Congrats,
how is
Tom.
this going to work?
Yeah.
So now I just want like a show now, like a spin-off show, just like following the adventures of like Tom as the father of these 3 animal things.
Yep.
And I just want to see what happens there. Yeah, that's wild. But I thought, and then actually to that point too, is how they brought it home with the baseball sequence at the end. Just a really smart job updating everything and like making it feel like a cohesive series so far. And I'm curious to see where they go with 3. I mean, obviously, I assume Eggman will be back. We do get a tease in the end, of course, of something else that may be back. So I guess we should mention that. I'm curious if since you're not also not a huge Sonic fan, did the post trailer or is it post credits scene register much for you at all?
Yes. So
all right.
So one of the first Sonic game that I played and finished was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and so like one of the few things that happened in the movie that I was like, I know who they are, was GUN, GUN, the military organization appeared. I think they originated from Sonic Adventure 2. So I was like, okay, so like now we've got like this third or the second antagonist group in here, and now I kind of know like some of these story points, and one of those story points would be our good friend Shadow the Hedgehog, the ultimate life form. There's a lot of story behind him too. I think they could do a ton. I don't know what exactly they're teasing at this point, but it could go in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so Shadow's actually one of the characters I know the least about, because I haven't followed all the 3D games, and but I think he was in. Were you saying Sonic Adventure 2? Was that the one he started in?
I think that was his first one. Don't quote me there, but I'm pretty sure it is.
I think you're right, but I don't know either. So I did play a bit of Shadow there, but I know almost nothing about his backstory. There's more to it beyond that. Because in the movie, weren't they saying that they've had him for like 50 years now or something like that?
Shadow was actually developed by Eggman's grandfather. So to actually protect his granddaughter Maria, Eggman's cousin, which didn't end up working out. I don't know if they ever have an intention to bring Maria into the Sonic movie universe. It was kind of a strange relationship as it is, because like Shadow and Maria were like BFFs. To almost an awkward degree, living on this space station and just chilling out there. But she died. So
oh, dang.
GUN kills her. So GUN is like
what?
GUN is a big plot point for Shadow's story, I'm pretty sure. So
wow.
Interesting.
I had no idea about any of this. It's all news to me. So yeah, I wonder how much they're going to lean into that or not. Because of course, we've had no hints of most of that from the movie so far, but then we also had no hint of Shadow until the very end here. So yeah, I have no idea like how Shadow exists. Like, so they were aware of hedgehogs before then. Like, I'm now like it makes me question everything about these movies. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm curious to see how exactly that happens. But of course, so that's obviously going to be a new villain for the new one, and with Sonic, something for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to work together on, of course. So I wonder if does Shadow work with Eggman then in the games? Do you know, or
I don't. I feel like he does kind of like in the same way that Knuckles and Eggman work together at a point where Eggman just happens to be pretty solid at persuading these creatures into being on his side. But I feel like Shadow's more of like a rogue, like out for his own interests kind of a thing.
Right. That's what I was wondering. Like if it could lead to a different dynamic, if maybe like it forces like Eggman to actually team up with Sonic and gang to help out in this case or something. So. We'll see. But yeah, so did your theater also lose it during that point?
That was when I lost it too. I was all in on Shadow. I was hoping for Amy Rose, to be honest. But...
Yeah, I know a lot of people were, and I was kind of expecting it too, because they had just re-released or they had updated the Sonic DLC for Minecraft, and apparently they added Amy as a character. I'm like, okay, is that a spoiler for the movie? It didn't end up being one, but so I wonder if she'll be the tease, like if she'll be the Sonic 3 tease for Sonic 4 maybe.
She could be in the movie and just we haven't.
She could be in the movie, yeah.
Same with Rouge the Bat. She's kind of tied in with Shadow, so I'd love to see Rouge. Bring Rouge in for Sonic Movie 3.
I won't be surprised. I mean, they added what, 2 new characters in this one, right? Yeah, not counting Shadow. So they're adding characters pretty quick to the series. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have the whole, get Big the Cat in there. Why not?
I love Big. Yeah, get him in there.
There we go. At least as a cameo or something. Big has to appear at some point, in some form. So.
Agreed.
I was gonna say one more thing that not surprised me, but I thought it was fun that being at the theater, like Shadow didn't do a whole lot for me himself just because I'm not too familiar with the character. But there's a family next to me, and whenever I see like a family, I automatically like just I'm at the age now where I'm like, I don't fully, I'm still just now processing like, oh yeah, people have kids now my age, and they're not substantially older than me, if at all. And so like, there's a mom like right next to me freaking out as Shadow, and it was like just screwing with my sense of the timeline. Like, how's this work? Like, I guess she played as a kid. I guess that makes sense when I do the math. So that was really fun though, just seeing this entire family and the whole theater just like losing it during Shadow's reveal, which is something that could not have happened, 20 years ago, right? Like, it would have just been the kids losing it. And that's kind of part of the fun, I think, that it's taken this long for a proper Sonic movie to happen, that it has allowed, like this actually spans generations now. Like, everyone, like, pretty much everyone, my parents know who Sonic the Hedgehog is, not that they've ever played a game of his, but they at least know the character. And that's kind of fun, that they're able to now, like, realize Sonic, like, in a way that has, like, these amazing visuals. Like, the effects look fantastic throughout the movie. Whether it's when he's snowboarding, through the avalanche, or going through the labyrinth zone, or wherever zone that ends up being with the Indiana Jones stuff, it's all great looking with the the water effects and everything.
And I think they do a really good job, writing and dialogue wise, of pandering both to like the child audience. There's plenty of like fart jokes and butt jokes in there, but also to adults that grew up with Sonic, like getting those little Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, I will say, maybe it's just me, and it could also be because I haven't seen the first movie really since it came out. I saw it a couple times then, though. But this one did seem just a little bit more childish than the first movie.
At times,
Seems just a little bit more aware of one of its demographics, and I think it's probably just a function of having all these Sonic characters now, right? They're all interacting with each other, so that's inherently going to change the dynamic a bit. And I thought it was fine for the most part. I thought it was mostly fun and, enjoyable. But there were a couple points I'm like, okay, they're clearly pandering to, like, the 5 and 6 year olds in the audience right now.
It worked, because I heard those kids were in my audience and they loved it.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely worked. So they know what they're doing. Hey, I'm not a scriptwriter, so I shouldn't be passing judgment. Is there anything else about the movie that surprised you or that you wanted to touch on?
I want to give a shout out to, there's one brief underwater scene where Sonic sees an air bubble, and just like in every like old, I guess even modern underwater platformer, those air bubbles equals more air, and they fit
I love that.
There. It was really cute.
Everything, like even his like little hops, I'm like, that's straight from the game.
Yeah.
Like he's slower, he can't swim. And I started laughing. I'm like, wait, I shouldn't be laughing here. Sonic's about to die. Maybe I shouldn't be laughing.
Poor Sonic.
I did half expect the
music,
the countdown timer to start.
Oh no. It's so stressful.
We were running out of air.
I actually would have loved if they could somehow fit in, even if like subtly, a little more Sonic music, just like a teeny bit, instead of contemporary music. I'm good with the contemporary. Like, I understand it's a modern audience, but I would have loved if they could just like squeeze in a little more than just the Green Hills theme.
Right. Yeah, because the Green Hills theme is it's the only one in the movie, and it doesn't even really make sense in the movie. Like, what is the Green Hill theme in this universe? It's not Sonic's theme. So what is it? What did Tom download that theme for? Like,
it's like, oh, this is a fun ringtone. All right.
Yeah. All right. Cool. It's like this is a default on iPhones in this universe, as every iPhone has.
Maybe.
I'm down with that. The underwater sequence I thought was a lot of fun. I'm glad you brought that up, because that I mean, not fun, I guess, but I like that I appreciated the effort and thought that went into it. And it actually was like a touching moment. Like, I actually heard like the kids in my audience, like especially, were like, oh god, is he, they were like on the edge of their seat. Is he gonna survive? Is he gonna make it? And then of course that leads into the scene afterward where Sonic and Knuckles like really kind of like, that's where they really start understanding each other, and like that's where they really decide to pair up and take on Eggman. And I think that just kind of really helped like bring home again the message of like the whole friendship angle the series has had so far. And actually I think in a sense, like, it'll be fun to go back and watch the first movie again, but I think it may actually hold up even better now. Just like knowing where it all leads and how it all ties together. And it's just surprising that a Sonic series has had this much thought put into it. Like, I appreciate that. It's just not what I expected from a Sonic series originally.
I kind of like to see, one thing that they didn't, they kind of got to it, but they didn't totally touch on it, was we just started with the Master Emerald in this game, but they didn't really get into the fact that, like, oh, there are the Chaos Emeralds inside the Master Emerald that form the Master Emerald. We did kind of see it at the end, But I wonder if we're going to get to a point now where, like, oh, somehow the Chaos Emeralds have been scattered across the universe and we got to go get them, or something along those lines, because I don't know how they would have fit that in this movie. It would have been a nightmare probably, but I feel like that is kind of quintessential Sonic in my mind. So it'd be cool to see the gathering of the Chaos Emeralds.
That's a really interesting point, because, yeah, they kind of handled it, I mean, I think smartly, but yeah, also a little backwards, I think. Yeah, because they didn't have to find the 7 Chaos Emeralds. They were just all contained in this one, or encased in this one Master Emerald. So yeah, are they going to split them up from this point? Like, are they going to have a movie dedicated to each of the Chaos Emeralds in the future now? Yeah, so I mean, I assume that they're going to get lost at some point, or someone's going to take them.
Something.
Do we even know? Oh, that's right. We know they still have them in their possession at the end, as Sonic grabs the Master Emerald after the baseball game.
We don't technically know where Eggman is. He's MIA.
Right, yeah, we don't. Yeah, did they say? I think didn't they say like they claimed there's no survivors.
Yeah, they were like, oh, nobody could have survived this, but obviously.
Yeah, their intelligence in this movie, like the intelligence organizations aren't great in this movie in general. Gun, not that impressive, I think, or whatever it is. Yeah, so I guess where would you rank, I guess, of the two movies, how would you rank them now?
Yeah.
Is this your new favorite of the series, or?
Yeah, I think it is. I would rewatch this, because it just came out, but I would rewatch Sonic 2 before I rewatch Sonic 1. I think it fit in enough, and I think Knuckles and Tails really added to it.
Yeah, like I said, it really does make it feel like a proper movie version of the game. Whereas the first movie, which I, again, really enjoyed, it definitely felt a bit odder, not quite striking the same tone as the games did. And that was just kind of by design of, the setup they had, where it is really just Sonic and Eggman. I will say, though, that I think, for me, I'd have to watch the first one again to fully know. I don't know if I would say Sonic 1 is a better movie. I would say I might have enjoyed that one just a little bit more. Probably because the sheer surprise factor of it being good at all, like, shocked me. I'm like, what? Yeah, I was not prepared for this. But also, I do think we had a dynamic between Sonic and Eggman that we don't quite get on the same level here, just because there's so many more characters. And again, that's not necessarily for the worse. It's just that I really did like their, the dynamic both Sonic and Eggman had it, and also Eggman and Agent Stone had in the first movie, that are both, I think, just diminished slightly in this one, just because, again, there's so much going on. There's so many characters, so many environments. But I think on the whole, like, if you're a Sonic fan especially, this is probably the better movie, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts at all, Sam, before we wrap it up here? Anything else we didn't touch on? Any overall?
I think Nintendo in their Mario movie has a lot to live up to at this point.
Yeah! That's actually a wonderful point. Like, the fact that Sonic has, like, is kind of showing how it's done here, I think should be giving Nintendo some pause, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Especially with having Illumination.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. But...
Yeah, I'm a little worried too. Like, I don't even know. Like, we know nothing about this movie beyond the casting and a single, like, character, I think.
Right.
Like a single new character, I guess, being Spike. But yeah, I really need to see a trailer for this now.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
It's hard to even envision how this is going to work. And I think, too, like, it actually might be harder for Mario, because, like, Sonic already is a very vocal character. Like, he already talks a lot. Him and Eggman already have, like, a clear rapport. Mm-hmm. So translating a largely... It's funny calling Mario a non-speaking character. He talks all the freaking time, but none of it feels like... Never in full sentences,
fully out
really.
Dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be weird.
Yep.
No matter what, it's going to be weird, especially with Chris Pratt voicing it. But I'm excited. I'm just also very nervous.
Yep.
And... I hope it lives up to Sonic 2. I posted like a tweet last night. I'm like, which movie's going to win Best Picture next year? Is it going to be Sonic 2 or the Mario movie?
Wait for the trailer.
And right now, Sonic 2 is actually winning.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we'll see the whole stuff.
Sonic 2 is definitely a contender. Regardless of what Mario ends up being, Sonic 2 was good.
And I love that we're in a timeline where that can be the case.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that Sonic now
so
is... Actually, I also forgot to mention the post or the credit sequence too, with the like in the first movie where they had all the 16-bit
It was so good.
Style. I love that.
It was so good. Like, all of the, like, random art and outfits that they did in the movie, seeing it in 16-bit, it was so well done.
Yeah, especially like seeing some of those, like some of the movie environments, like in game
Yeah.
form. Like those could straight up be Sonic levels. Why isn't this a Sonic game?
Right.
Make it Sonic the movie 2, the movie, the game.
Yeah.
And I'd play it. It looks amazing.
Agreed.
So, but yeah. To round it up, hopefully Nintendo figures it out for Mario movie because it has to be good. I want it to be good. I love Mario. Obviously, you're a big Mario fan, as the Nintendo fangirl.
They can delay it if they want. If they watch the Sonic movie and they're like, let's do 2023.
If the movie Sonic, if it suddenly gets delayed, I think we know why. Sonic put the fear of God into them. So, all right, Sam. Thank you so much for joining me for our discussion of the Sonic. I still can't get the title right. Sonic movie 2, I guess. Where can people find you at? If they want to find out more from you, and tell everyone what exactly you do over on your channel.
So I'm really easy to find. You can pretty much search NintendoFanGirl on any platform and look for the red hair. You'll find me. I'm just a Nintendo content creator and brand ambassador. So I talk about Nintendo things and I play Nintendo games. And that's it.
Awesome. You can find links to all that in the description below. So with that, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll catch you later. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.